This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stockbox interview. Joining us today is Michael Zara, the President and CEO of Drone Delivery Canada, listed on the TSXV, the OTCQX and the Frankfurt markets. So hello, Michael. Welcome onto Stockbox. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on the show.
Very good to be talking to you, Michael. A company in drone delivery is not a company in the technology or the sector that I've interviewed before. We've never had anything like this on the Stockbox platform before, so thank you very much. It's something a little bit different for us to talk about today. Sounds very exciting. Can I ask you, first of all, to introduce the company and really what you're all about?
Sure. So we are a Canadian company. We've been around since about 2014, publicly traded, as you mentioned. And our focus initially is in Canada, although we're starting to plant seeds internationally. And our offering essentially is a drone logistics solution. So we sell a managed service. So we're not just selling an off-the-shelf piece of hardware and then walking away. So in that context, it's a managed service turnkey solution. And obviously drones are part of it, but there are a number of other elements that are part of it, including our software system called Flight, drone spot depots that we fly between, battery management systems, et cetera. And we have a range of drones from small electric all the way up to very large gasoline helicopter style drones and everything in between. So, and we address a very, very broad range of markets. And we're commercialized, early stage revenue, and very exciting industry.
Yes, I noticed you have sort of 3 different levels of delivery service there. I also noticed that you are offering your services and your technology in lots of different sectors. How advanced, can I ask you, are you in offering an operational service?
So we are operating today, and we have been operating, commercially, generating early stage revenue since March of last year, of 2020. But obviously, it's still a new business, and it's still a somewhat nascent industry. But yeah, we address a very, very broad range of applications, from e-commerce to postal mail to healthcare, mining, oil and gas, remote communities, indigenous communities. But yes, we're absolutely currently operating today at a number of very exciting projects.
Okay. And is there any particular sector in particular that your service is more, advanced in maybe, or equally any other sectors that you're wanting to look to ramp up with?
I would say in general, the drone delivery industry globally, including us, has gotten the most traction in healthcare. And I think that plays into the typical use cases for drone delivery, which if I may, are where access is difficult. So rural communities, island communities, First Nations communities, of which there are thousands in Canada and obviously many globally. And then where time is critical, so deliveries of emergency repair parts, for instance, where time is money, but also in healthcare, where time could be saving lives. And we've done another number of projects in that space. And then with the pandemic, limiting person-to-person contact. So if you want to keep the supply chain open, but you want to limit person-to-person contact, drone delivery is perfect for that. So if you look at healthcare, it checks a lot of those boxes. So I think that's where the industry has gotten the most traction. And we've had a number of projects that are healthcare related, including some that are running right now.
Okay. And in terms of then getting a service up and running, how does it work? I mean, I understand you have sort of flight routes that you would like to plan and fly, and landing pads already in place. Are there certain licensing or rules you've got to adhere to in order to get a service up and running, and how easy is that, and how are you managing that process?
Yeah, it's a very good question. So each country has a regulatory authority who manages the airspace. In Canada, for instance, it's Transport Canada. Folks might be familiar with the US and FAA, and in Europe, it's EASA. So there are a number of regulatory bodies that one would work with. In Canada, we are considered what they call a compliant operator. We are the first compliant operator in Canada as of quite a few years ago. So we have, I wouldn't call it carte blanche, but we have somewhat carte blanche from coast to coast to fly projects, as long as we fit within the rules of the drone regulations, which are well established. We've got a very long standing collaborative relationship with Transport Canada, and we understand that quite well. So you do need to be certified by the regulator. We are, and that permits you to do the kinds of operations that we're doing. But yeah, very, very important aspect of the business. It's a very, very highly regulated industry, as one might imagine, for safety reasons.
Okay. And then just moving on from there, then what about things in terms of scalability and also perhaps moving your services internationally as well? How easy would you say it is to scale up and also integrate into other countries? And is it something that you are actively looking to achieve?
So the business was built with international operations and scalability in mind from the very beginning. We've got a operations control center which has multiple seats, and multiple drones can be managed by multiple operators. We can certainly install multiple projects in the field, working with our own people or with contractors. We assemble the drones in house. We have the ability to do that at scale as well. So the ability to scale is really designed into the DNA of the company. So that's not really an issue. International, again, as I mentioned, our focus is primarily in Canada, but we are planting seeds internationally, which I would say are a bit longer term. We have started the process to enter the U.S. We have flown in the U.S. before, actually, and so we have a relationship with the FAA. We have signed letters of intent with companies internationally in Africa and in India and elsewhere. So we're definitely planting seeds, but it's a bit more longer term because our model in Canada is to actually implement the projects ourselves and to be very, I would say, hands-on with them. Internationally, our business model is to license our system to somebody else who would then be the operator, and they would install the system and they would provide it, say, transactionally to their customers. So it could be a courier company, a freight forwarding company, an airline. So slightly different model, but definitely international is a focus of ours, but primarily Canada today.
Okay. And can you give investors and shareholders an idea of the roadmap and what your plans are going forward, and also why investors should consider looking at this industry?
Roadmap is very clear for us. We have a strategic plan and a technology roadmap and a commercialization roadmap and the infrastructure and financing in place to do that. We're very, very well financed, no debt. So in good financial situation to be able to move the business forward. So really the focus is on bringing technology to market. So a number of new drones are coming to market in the next little while. The Canary, which is the next generation of our smallest Sparrow, the Robin XL, which is sort of in the middle, and then the Condor, which is our very large gasoline-powered long-range heavy lift drone. So the focus is very much around the commercialization of the business, so the sales and marketing and developing relationships with partners like Air Canada, and then customers, obviously. And we've got a number of customers that we have operating today, and obviously a number in our funnel. So the technology, the commercialization of the business on the sales and marketing and partnership side, and then on the regulatory side, we have a very strong collaborative relationship with the regulator, as I mentioned. So those would be the three pillars really that sort of define the business and what we're doing going forward. And we're executing very well on all of those. It's a new industry, so things take time. We're often doing things for the very first time and never been done before. So there's a lot of experimentation and R&D and development and testing that's required. So it does take time, but we feel we're very comfortable in the path that we're on.
Okay. And what about enticing people or investors to look at this industry? What do you think the future is very exciting for this sort of technology?
Yeah, it is an interesting industry, and I think it's an industry that's a long time coming. I mean, when we were kids, if you're old enough, you remember the Jetsons flying around in those kind of flying cars and that sort of thing. So it's an industry that's a long time coming, but it's definitely here. I think we're seeing a lot of traction with ourselves and a number of companies doing drones, whether it's a variety of applications. It could just be delivery, but it could also be crop spraying and inspection and these sort of things. So you're seeing a lot of traction, I think, globally with drones. So I think we're at an inflection point, this year going into 2022 and 2023, where the industry is starting to come together. The technology is starting to come out. So we're at an inflection point where I think the industry is, no pun intended, going to take off. But I think if you're an investor, obviously I can't recommend anything in particular. You need to do your own due diligence. But I would say this is definitely an industry that you can see is here, gaining momentum, and definitely at an inflection point where you're seeing a lot of traction. So it's definitely something to take a look at. And obviously we're publicly traded. People can take a look at us as well. What I do think is still rather far away, and there are a number of companies who are working on unmanned flying taxis. I think that's coming. I'm happy to make that prediction, but I think that's many, many, many years away. There are restrictions for smaller drones flying cargo in urban areas, so you can imagine the restrictions of an unmanned flying taxi carrying people in an urban area and all the the risks and regulations that come with that. So that will happen, but that is quite far away, I think.
Okay. Well, Michael Zara, the President and CEO of Drone Delivery Canada, thank you very much for your time today.
Thanks very much for having me.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stopboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.